Good evening from Paris, and we begin tonight with that daring and deadly raid that lasted 7 hours here in Paris. We were there in the early morning hours today. SWAT teams showed up in the dark, a massive operation, and tonight a French prosecutor saying they likely stopped another terror plot. New images tonight of the moment those teams moved in, deafening gunfire. Thousands of rounds fired, and the target the whole time, the man who authorities call the mastermind of the Paris attacks. Tonight, did they get him? Also, video from the Daily Mail, French SWAT teams crouching behind shields. Authorities say they got there before this cell could cause new harm. And this image, just one of the suspects taken into custody. Tonight, the numbers, at least 2 dead, including a woman who blew herself up, setting off her suicide belt. 8 arrests, 5 officers injured. Tonight, we take you right to that building. While back at home in the U.S., the New York City Police Department now responding to an ISIS message with an image of Times Square behind it. But we begin with the new images here in Paris of that takedown in this city. They came in swiftly under cover of darkness. 4:20 this morning, French SWAT teams, heavily armed, to neutralize suspected terrorists that they feared were planning to launch new attacks. Police firing 5,000 rounds. Terrified families shocked awake by gunshots, the explosions. Many of them capturing the images just outside their windows. One video just emerging tonight showing what appeared to be the first French SWAT team arriving and entering the building. A French prosecutor tonight revealing the SWAT teams were met with reinforced doors to the apartment they were trying to storm here in the Saint-Denis neighborhood. The prosecutor saying they were met with a barrage of firepower, gunshots as they tried to get into the apartment. The rapid, heavy gunfire could be heard through the streets. Witnesses seeing police and terror suspects. Through their windows, the terrified residents watching it all unfold.
On your knees! Show me your back!
On your knees, show me your back. You can hear the police yelling. On the perimeter, officers tense, guns raised, stopping civilians, their hands raised as they slowly approach police, getting patted down. This man woke up to what he called a deafening blast. I jumped out of bed, he says, opened the window and put my head outside. The police said, no, shut the window, close it, close it. When it was over, 8 arrested, at least 2 people dead. A woman who detonated her suicide belt, and another person killed by a grenade explosives, who has not been identified by French authorities tonight. Tonight, it's believed investigators are trying to determine whether it might be the mastermind, 27-year-old Abdelhamid Aboud, behind the coordinated attacks in Paris. The identities of the dead are still being investigated, DNA testing on the bodies from the scene. But tonight, the fate of that so-called mastermind remains unclear. There is cell phone video showing suspects being led away by the SWAT teams, some stripped of the clothes pulled from the building. We now know the SWAT teams converged on this neighborhood north of Paris, not far from the soccer stadium, with help from cell phone conversations and surveillance since Friday's attacks.
Whoa!
Witnesses who said they had seen Aboud here in France. The prosecutor also saying we have reason to believe with their weaponry and structured organization that this cell could have tried to carry out another plot. This morning when the sun came up, the explosions could still be heard and the ambulances were lined up prepared for anything. As you can see, along with the heavy police presence, there's also a number of ambulances here at the scene as investigators go through that building. And we went to meet some of the stunned neighbors ourselves. They witnessed it all. Through the door up the stairs, we meet Diana Decour, who told me she was jolted from bed by the explosions. Did they tell you to close the windows?
Yes, to close the windows and to stay at home.
We also went to get a look at the building, climbing onto a roof across the way. A French prosecutor revealing they thought the so-called mastermind was believed to be in a safe house on the 3rd floor. Smoke could be seen pouring out of the window. Just looking at the building, you can see the sheer force of the firepower in the early morning hours here in Paris. Not only is every window blown out, but you can see the signs of impact against the cement wall there behind us. The man who allowed them to stay in that apartment detained during the raid and questioned by investigators, saying, someone asked me to put people up for 3 days and I did them a favor. I don't know where they came from. I don't know anything. If I'd known, do you think I would have done it? And tonight, the French prosecutor also revealing more about the cell phones the attackers are believed to have used the night of the attacks. One found in the trash outside the Bataclan Theater. On it, a text to a member of the terror cell at 9:40 p.m. saying, "We're ready. Let's go." And also at this hour, we are getting stunning new images from the Daily Mail tonight. Surveillance footage of the attack on a cafe in Paris. The moment an attacker appears, opening fire. When the coast is clear, this woman sprinting inside, taking cover. Then the gunman reappearing, taking aim again, his weapon jamming. The gunman moves on. Seconds later, one woman, her life spared when that weapon jammed, popping up. She survived.